It's my turn again now, and we are in a, well, completely different scenario actually. This here is not the account I worked in previously. This is a different GitHub account, an account which here is on Mac's, well, GitHub page, so to say, on the GitHub page of this React.js food order repository. The thing is that this account is no collaborator of this project actually, but you could say that as this project is in a public repository, it could be thought of as kind of an open source project. And let's also assume that I checked out the code, I had a look at the website, and I saw that the issue Max just explained, so that this changing of the quantity in the, well, cart actually is not working correctly, is something I would like to fix now, and also something I would like to contribute to this project. This means what I want to do now is I want to, well, kind of get access to this project, change the thing I want to change, and then push this change to the actual repository. As I mentioned, I'm no collaborator, therefore this flow won't work as shown previously. This time we have to follow our fork and pull request logic we learned about in the last module already. As I said, in this account, the first thing I want to do is I will navigate to the actual repository I want to work on, and there in the right part of the screen, I can find the fork option. Forking simply means I will create, well, basically a copy of that project, which I can then work with. We can create the fork by, well, clicking onto it. Then we have to decide where we want to, well, fork this repository to. Here you can find two options now. So basically my current account and the Academind account. The reason for this choice here is that my personal account right here is part of the Academind organization, so don't get distracted by this fact here. Generally, I will just select the account I currently want to work on right here, and that's the Manu Lawrence account right here. So I'll select this one. Now the forking, as you can see, takes a few seconds. So the fork is now completed. This means we have full access to the project. And what we can do now is to work locally on this project is, well, we can go to our code option and clone that project. And by the way, talking about cloning, if you ask yourselves, well, why didn't we just clone the project and then, well, kind of pushed it? Well, that's exactly where the problem is coming from. Cloning the project as we did it before would have worked, of course, but once you want to push it, well, you can't do this because you're not a collaborator. And to create the pull request in the end to the actual project, the project needs to be pushed to GitHub. That's why we use the fork option here to copy the project, to clone it locally, to change it, to then push it to GitHub, and to then create the pull request on GitHub. We talked about this in the last module. I just want to recap that quickly to make sure we are all on the same page. Nevertheless, we now can clone this repository. We did this quite often throughout the course already, so I'll do it a bit quicker now. So we'll copy the URL, go back to Visual Studio Code. I prepared a new project here and an empty project folder, so please do the same if you want to follow along. I'll also bring up the terminal once again here. Now we'll run git clone and paste the URL, and again add a space and a dot to make sure the files are cloned directly into our fork directory up here and not into a subfolder. So with that, this should hopefully work perfectly. Yes, it does. Then, as a next step, specifically for this project here, as we also want to view this project later in the DevTools, we'll again run npm install to bring up the node modules folder once again. So let's also run this. So this is also done. So with this, the project is ready to go. We'll of course also have a look at it once we implemented our changes. And one note at this stage, if we run git branch once again, we only have this main branch here, and now we have two options. We could either implement our changes in a separate branch, as we did it before, or we can stay in this main branch now. Because we are working in our own project now, this is a forked project, therefore whatever we do is basically, well, our topic at the moment. And once we initiate the pull request later, we can decide from which branch this pull request should be received from. Therefore, we'll stick to the main branch here and directly work in it. You can also use a separate branch if you want to though. Now is the time to implement the changes that we want to implement. And as I said, it's all about making these changing quantity buttons work. And for this, we go into our source folder, there into the components folder, and we'll then navigate into the card folder and there open the card.js file. So just to bring this back to your mind, we saw the plus and minus buttons to change the quantity already, but these didn't work. And this logic that these buttons will actually change the quantity will be implemented now. And for this, we need to implement the code for two cases, either removing items or adding items. To remove the items, we will add the following code in here, this card ctx dot. Here we can see it, remove item already, and now this should remove the item with a specific ID. And don't forget to add the semicolon here. So this is the remove case. And now for the add item case, we'll again refer to our card ctx variable here, but this time not to remove the item, but of course to add the item. And now we need parentheses, and there we write curly braces, and now three dots like this, and item. As I said, we won't dive too deep into the code right here. It's not a React.js course in the end. And now amount :1, like this, with the semicolon at the end. So this is our very big improvement of the website here. We will of course save this now and again run our development server to see if the improvement was successful. So let's run npm start. So this is our working page, hopefully. And if we now go, or maybe add first some sushi here to our cart and then open our cart itself and then increase the quantity. Yeah, this is working. And let's see if the decrease option also works. Yes, so this was successful and looks good. Now the thing is that, Max is not aware of the fact that I implemented this change. And Max in general is not aware of the fact that I'm, working on this project. I'm not a collaborator, as I said. Therefore, what we want to do now is, we first want to push this, latest commit to our personal GitHub page. And afterwards, we want to add a pull request to inform Max about the fact that we implemented this change. Max can then review it and hopefully confirm that this change is great and add this commit to the existing main branch in his project.